Yes. So we will start the recap, review, and I'll go over the frequently asked questions for the next 3 days. So we started with where is it? Okay. So we started with the core Java. I first gave an introduction on what are the different technologies available. So we went over class, JVM, objects, and I gave an example of object, that is the mold through which class is a mold through which the objects are getting delivered. The best example is the Ganesh Chaturthi festival. So if you remember that, always the classes and the objects, you'll know what is a class, what is an object. So class is just a blueprint. And then we went over the JVM, the class loaders in detail. We saw these diagrams. And the JVM is a fish tank, and the fish is the object which is residing in the tank. And we saw what is a JavaScript, where it is used, so server and client side. So all those things we saw. And I gave an analogy of what is an HTML, what is a CSS, what is a JavaScript. And so basically HTML is a presentation layer where it is just a structure of the car, and CSS is a style which is the exterior and interior, whatever you see in the car. And JavaScripts are the actions or the interactions which you do with the car. So without JavaScript, you cannot start a car, you cannot move it, you cannot turn on the AC lights. It will be just a structure without any movement. So JavaScript gives life to the structure. So that's what JavaScript is. We saw about this. Then we saw in detail, to like very minute detail, we saw about web service and the REST service. So these are the links which I shared earlier, and I'll just share it now. Just you can, I'll put in a notepad, and finally maybe I'll share it. So this is about the web service Java training summary. Okay. So we saw in detail about the web service, how the web service works, how to create a skeleton, and how to connect to the web service. And we saw on REST service, what is the structure of it, how do we connect. So everything in detail, we saw the theory with an analogy, and also hands-on, we saw programs on how to access the web service. So those videos will help you out in understanding the complete functionality of how the web service is working, at least to 80-90%. So once the base is thorough, you can go over the internet, and the rest of the features you just have to fill it in. So after that, we went over the actually these slides are in reverse order. We went over the Hibernate. We saw save or update, delete, and we saw where Hibernate fits in, and how the mapping is done. So basically, this is a 3-tier architecture where UI layer, the application layer, and the database layer. The application layer I split into 2 sides, which is the DAO layer and the application layer. So this overlapping box which you see is the ORM layer, which the Hibernate comes into picture. So we saw detail on what it Hibernate and how do the mappings work, and what is so what is the connection, what is the connection factory, and how do we create a connection. So connection factory is nothing but an analogy, is the factory where the objects are produced and being delivered, dispatched. So the same way, connection factory with respect to Hibernate, when Hibernate starts, these connections are getting created. We have these many arrows because this is a configurable value, and since it is 20, like the Hibernate starts and gets the first 20 connection, and we saw about a connection pooling and how do we configure the Hibernate from scratch. We saw how do we, so you can go back to that video if you want to set up a fresh Hibernate project in main application, and you can also go back to the video to see how to use Hibernate in the web application Spring Boot. And we saw, yeah, the Hibernate basics theory we saw, and yeah, we saw about we started with the Maven Log4j web app basic architecture and Tomcat installation. How do we configure it? We saw in detail on servlets, filters, Spring Boot, and Pojo. So servlets are the basic building block anyone should know if you say you are like familiar with Java web application, because even though we have got Spring or Spring Boot up to date, servlets are the basic block which is always there. As I tell, the analogy which I said was the armature of a motor. Like if you're a triple guys, you know the armature of a motor, which is still the same. The way motor functions is same. The way the rotor rotates is same. Just that we have different UIs to the car. They tune the motor and produce different torque, and they tell that we have different cars. But if you just narrow down or strip down the car and go into the basic, every car has the same functionality of the way the motor is being rotated and the way the car is being moved. That doesn't change. So the same way, servlets are the basics one which you have to understand. You have to be thorough in servlets to understand the rest of the things. So there is no point in just knowing Spring or Spring Boot without knowing how servlet is. That is why in detail I took about servlets by converting a plain Java object Pojo to a servlet and making it enabled for requesting, for accepting the request through the web. And then we applied the filters to the servlet. Filters are the one which restricts the URL to the browser. And we have the Spring Boot, nothing but it is a Tomcat embedded Spring. So without the need for manually creating a Tomcat and embedding it and configuring it, Spring Boot is the one which comes with a default Tomcat. And we saw, yeah, this is very one important thing we saw about the abstract classes. That is a very important concept. What is an abstract class? Through examples we saw on the access modifier, public, private, and protected. We saw on the final methods, non-abstract methods, how do classes interact. So that video will give you a clear, we'll be playing with the variables by changing the values, removing the values, and see how the program is working. So that will give you a clear picture on what is abstract, what are the public, final methods, all those things. There is a video on how JVM works, how are the methods loaded in the JVM. So all those things are there. That is why in the Java main program we have a public static void main. The static methods are loaded in the JVM, and it has a connection with threads, which we saw in one of the other video. In detail, we saw what are threads, how do we create a threads, what are the functionalities, what are the operations done through threads. So how threads are created and how it is linked with public static void main, and what are daemon threads, and how that is linked with everything is a connection. So you cannot see some topic as an isolated topic. Everything is a connection. The reason we discuss JVM architecture, because static methods has to be loaded. Okay, why static method? Java main program has a public static void main. Spring Boot has a main method. And what happens with the main method? A main thread is created. When we come into thread, what are the different ways of creating a thread? When we come into the static methods, how do we call non-static objects? How do we place? How do we create objects? So there comes the Spring MVC, the auto wiring. We saw how to auto wire the methods, and methods overriding, dates, services, helper. Yeah, this is about the Angular. So we saw one class on Angular. I gave a introduction and I installed and set up a application. So this is a very important concept in Spring AOP. We saw a detailed video on AOP. How do we implement the AOP? AOP are the aspect-oriented programming where we don't give the repeated functionality everywhere in the application. Instead, we just give it in one place, and automatically the Spring will take care of weaving it in all other places. So that is basically AOP. And annotation driven, overriding, dependency injection, IOC, and implement. How do we implement an interface? That is a beautiful concept we saw. I gave examples of multiple database connections. Again, all these things, you have an hands-on program where from scratch I'll be developing in the class, and I will be changing the variables here and there, and on the fly I will be changing, and I'll show you what happens when you change this. So by this way, you will not see a pre-built application or a pre-built slide where I just tell you this, so this is what this is. So we even, like, I do mistakes in the class, and the errors I rectify. When I rectify, I teach you like this is the error and this is how we have to solve it. So all those things are there. And in interfaces are a very important concept because Spring runs on interface concept, and I see that most of the developers don't use they understand what is interface, but they don't implement the interface in the Spring. I said this in the Spring class also when I was taking. So you should always talk with interface if it is Spring. DI and IOC deals with the interface. And we spent a week time for database, primary, foreign keys, and what are joins, left joins. Of course, we didn't create a store procedure. I didn't have access to it, but I showed you how to create. We saw how to connect to database from Java, JDBC connectivity, and how do we execute queries, statements, prepared statements. So all those things we saw. Yeah, JDBC. And we saw there is a separate video on JDBC alone in detail from scratch on how do we connect to database. And there is one more video which connects the Spring Boot with the database. So that is a separate part that's also there. And there is a complete cycle from JSP to servlet to database, back to servlet and back to JSP. We will be printing a table in the JSP. And we saw about Angular basics, CSS, JS, HTML, and the REST service. Yeah, so this is the analogy. So every topic where I have explained, you will see a real world example. You will see a real world scenario which you can remember easily and link it to the concept. So for JDBC connectivity, I gave the example of a delivery or courier where we receive it and how. So every step he knocks the door. What does it mean? We will validate first, right, without opening the door, whether the person is a genuine person or not. So what is that? Every single step which we do in the real world will be done by the server also. So when he knocks the door, it reaches the server port, the signal is sent to the server, the port will be opened, access is allowed, and it is only in read-only mode. Firewall security takes place, then the functionality takes place, and we sign in and send the receipt, and then we lock the door again. So the same way, server sends the result set, he closes the port and he again secures. So exception, delivery guy will wait for a few time for answer. If not answer, he'll be returning back. Same way, the statement will wait for some time. If we don't open the door, it's going to throw a timeout. So every single topic will have this analogy in real world scenario, which you can use to understand. And then, yeah, technical part, coming technical, that was analogy of how JDBC works. This is a pure technical part of how JDBC works. So this is a fundamental, again, even though you use Hibernate, you should always know two things. One is servlet, other is JDBC. These are like the building blocks above which everything is built. So you, at least for now, you cannot ignore these things. You should be knowing these in detail. And then we saw about views, functions, triggers, stored procedures. And yeah, we saw about we had a different table structure. I showed how the Angular interacts with the application. What is the role of Angular? Yeah, these are the tables, rows, the basic of database, the user tables, and yeah, these are the create table syntaxes. So all these will be there in the videos. And how do we insert a record? And these are the relationships between the tables. So how does a select? So all these you will get in Google or the documentation. Yeah, when I tell documentation, the one thing I've been telling from day one so far is always rely on the documentation. Whatever technology you learn, the first thing and always you should be keeping is the documentation. So people who have seen me taking trainings will know that for every single thing I go to documentation. I see what is given in the documentation. In Google, you'll get a solution, but in the documentation, you'll get the concept. Okay, this is how it is. Why? Because it is directly from the creator. So they will give them the appropriate reason for why this is being done. So I always insist on going the documentation, maybe Java, MySQL, Angular, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Maven, Log4j, whatever you take, whatever you are working on, go to the direct developer site and just have a bookmark that link always. Whatever you are working on, just go there and read a couple of lines on what they have given. That will really help you in understanding the basics. Now coming to the, we saw about the DDL statements, create, drop, alter, truncate, DDL, other data definition language. We saw that data manipulation language. Definitions are, we create how the database should be. So create is a data definition. Drop is a definition, alter, truncate, comment, and rename a definition. But insert, update, delete does not deal with the data structure of a table. It just deals with the data, the actual data. So it is a data manipulation language. We just manipulate with the data. And data query language is a select. We just query the data and see. And DCL is the data control language where we control the access to the database, grant and revoke. So transaction control language, we control the transactions. Either the user can commit, rollback, save point, or set transaction. So we saw detail on select queries, primary key, foreign keys, joins, inner join, outer join. So this is the aspect-oriented programming. We saw these concepts. So these are important concepts. And we saw a real-world example of how it is. Yeah, given the documentation also. Let me just copy and paste this. This might be useful. Okay, next is we saw the DB creation, create table, schema diagram. Yeah, I showed you how to create a schema diagram and how are tables linked, and queries, joining, inner join, how to join more than 2 tables, filters I said already, Hibernate, web service, REST service, and yeah, this is the example I gave for us, web service. And yeah, these are all web service related continuation. So JSP, Java, AOP, auto wiring, and responsive. I just touched something about responsive web pages. What are responsive content? And basically responsive is nothing but when we view the same page in different devices, mobile, tablet, Android, iOS, Mac machine, the content will automatically adjust for the users to review it in their device. So that's called responsive. And we saw about the Jakarta .NET DL and Angular NPM. Yeah, this is a analogy of how Spring Boot came and how it replaced servlets, how the controller replaced servlets, what are the advantages of controller, and Spring Framework and Spring Boot. We saw frameworks. Yeah, this is an important question, commonly asked question, like whether Spring is a framework or a container, and what are the advantages. And yeah, this is the step. How do we create a Spring, and what is a framework? Some theory about it, and library versus framework. Few of the web application frameworks which are available in the market and who are using it. So that we saw Angular, Laravel, Spring Java, .NET, and data science framework, Apache Spark, PyTorch, and TensorFlow. So mobile development, so Ionic, Xamarin, Flutter, Reactive Native, and Native Script. So Spring introduced in 2003. This is merely 19 years, right? 20 years approximately, 18, 19 years. So the architecture we saw in detail, every boxes. So I got to work a chance in Spring during the time when it was introduced. And we saw about DI and IOC, very important question. So this is what I was telling, interface equal to class. In Java, you learn that class equal to new class, but this you have to always write using this when you talk with Spring, or if there is an interface implementation relationship, always go with the highlighted line. That is the best approach to handle in Java. And then Spring Boot. What is Spring Boot? Why do we need that? And yeah, client server architecture. We saw how the client and server interact, how the request goes to the, so the user clicks a page in the computer, it goes to the server finds the page, it returns back to the browser. So we saw the basics of HTTP. What is HTTP? What is TCP? How does it work? What is a GET, POST? So we saw on this URL. So URL, first is the protocol. Next is a URL, the DNS. This is a port. This is a resources, and this is the parameter. So a single URL, when you see in the top, this case, you can see that I'm highlighting at the top. This has a lock. This is a HTTPS. So this HTTPS is shown as a lock, and this is a domain name. You can see here HTTPS protocol, followed by DNS, followed by port, which is 80. 80 will not be shown here. Anything other than 80 will be shown here. And these are the resources. And till here is the resources, and side equal to, this is a parameter. So that is a URL. There is a detailed video on this as well. So how do we install a Tomcat? How do we create a web application in Eclipse from scratch? You can see that. So I took a fresh machine and downloaded the Eclipse on the day I started the training. So I didn't have anything pre-built in the machine. So everything is done in front of you and it is recorded. So I'm pretty much sure, like if you start from scratch and you follow clearly the instructions which I'm giving, you should be there like 90% to 95%. I'll say more than 95 because I didn't do anything offline, or I didn't work it out anything during the off training time and just come and display everything. Even if I had worked something, I used to create a fresh project in the training just for the benefit of the participants, so that you should not be lost. Because the most common thing which I didn't like, I was lost in the YouTube videos was few of the things used to be very fast, and few things will be done. The key things will be missed out, and I'll be struggling. How did they get this? How did they do this? So that is the reason I didn't want to skip anything. And yeah, this is the protocol web.xml. Again, web.xml is the third important thing you should know. Of course, it's not used now in the majority of the project when Spring has taken over, but web.xml is the root. So you should understand this. So yeah, I think this is a starting where these are the IDEs which are used, and Java web application. So how does a Java web application look like? It has a folder, meta-inf, web app, meta-inf, web-inf. It has a classes and a lib. This is a standard. You cannot change this. This has to be web-inf. You can change this folder provided you can write the Tomcat code. Inside the Tomcat, this will be referred. So you should not change these things. We just go with whatever is there. And then, yeah, we saw what is the container. As I said, fish tank. So what container helps for socket communication, lifecycle managing the fishes, and multi-threading. We saw what is a thread. So container takes care of the multi-threading, security, JSP support. So what is an MVC, model view controller, where view is the page, model is the data, and the controller is the orchestra, which does the work of orchestration to various components, JT components. So struts1, struts2, Spring, MVC, and boot. Actually, I didn't take anything on struts1, struts2, but I just use this to give an analogy of how things came up to boot from struts1. So this is how I started, install Tomcat and added this project. So step by step is there. And I hope, yeah, life cycle of a servlet. That's very important. It is three things: init, service, destroy. So IST, if you remember, it like either IST, it is the life cycle of a servlet. So servlets are the server side Java program. How do we create? So we saw all those things. One second, someone has machine. All right. So then basics of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Bootstrap. We saw that. Java keyword. Yeah, these are the basic things. The fundamentals of Java: primitive data type, non-primitive, auto boxing, unboxing. I gave the URL, the documentation URL. Let me copy it and paste it in the notepad. Okay, then yes. So I gave an example. Yeah, this is the starting point where I gave an analogy in the real world on what are we trying to achieve and how things work. What is the user interface? What is the business logic? What is the database layer? All those things we saw. The HTML, CSS, and the logics. And we saw about exceptions, very important thing. But with the AOP, we don't write any exception block in Java. It's all handled by Spring and AOP. So try, catch, throws, and finally we saw that real world example of exception, POJO creation, collection. Collections are very important very important concepts in Java, because we don't deal with the single objects. We always deal with a bunch of objects, so which is what collection does. So we have an access. We saw about access modifier, log4j, interface, inheritance. How do we create an object, calling the methods of other classes, and the first Java program on day one. We started immediately with a Java program without diving into any of the concepts. And then slowly we started understanding each of the words and how do we configure Maven. We saw about streams, writing to files. Yeah, so this is the training structure, Eclipse. So April 12, 2021. I think this was the first few slides I prepared. Log4j, inheritance. Okay, this is okay. Yes, this is the inheritance concept. Again, you have a detailed video on inheritance. What will happen if I change? What will happen if I remove this? What happens to the child parent class? We have done a lot of detailed analysis. So I give an example of public, private, and protected. Since it is very important, once again, I'll tell this. We have 3 access modifier in Java: public, private, and protected. It is very, very simple to remember. If you remember your house, your father is there, he has a diary. His diary is, can you read your father's diary? The answer is no. It is private. So private means only the class can read it. No other persons can read it. Even if you are inherited, even if you are child to your father, you cannot read father's diary. It is private, means it's private. That's all. Protected. Protected means it is like a ball. A ball in your house. You can play the ball because you are a child of your father. So you can play a ball. If you go to your neighbor's house, you can take the ball and you can play. But your father will not give the ball just like that to your neighbor. If you are playing with them, you will play with the ball. If you come back, you will come back with the ball. If your neighbor's son or daughter, they come to your house, your father will give the ball and they can play it. That is what protected is. So father is the parent class, you are the child class. If the child class is there in the houses, houses are the packages. So if the child class is there in any package, it can access the parent class ball. If the child class is, if the class is not a child class, it cannot access the ball irrespective of wherever it is there, whatever package it is. The same way, even though it is not a child class, even though your neighbor's son is not a child of your father, if he comes inside your house, he or she can play with the ball. That's all it is. If you understand this simple real world example of your father's diary, your house ball, a toy which is there. If you understand this concept, public, private, and protected will be very easy. So we saw this in detail, and we saw the first program, the collection frameworks, okay, and RLS. These are we saw for loops. The JTE architecture, we started with JTE architecture, servlet line. Okay, these are the cons. Okay. So with this, all the concepts, whatever I have taken so far in the 3 months, it is just revision is done. Hopefully, if you go through all of these videos, just don't skip any part of it, even though you may feel like it's too long or it may be boring. But I have not focused on the syntax. I am not focused on the outputs. What I have focused is the concepts which will help you learn the future technology. So that is what I have focused in making you understand rather than the syntax part. Because as I said, Google is there for you for syntax. If you go and search for main program in Java, you'll get thousands of programs. You just copy paste and it will run. But none of the blogs will be explaining in detail on every single word. Out of 1,000, one might be doing it. So just play the videos at your own pace and start doing hands-on along with the video. That way you will be able to grasp the concepts better, and you will definitely feel better when you progress. So that was a quick recap of what was done past 3 months of training. And now we will start the commonly asked questions. Commonly asked questions in can be interview, or mostly it is interview, but I didn't put it as interview questions because I thought it's let me not focus just on interview. It's on like commonly asked questions in Java when you still like you are a Java developer. Is anyone has a question? I can see some. I can hear some.
I'll go with C2.
So far, everything was.
Do you have any option that
So
we
I'm
can
expecting
keep
something.
I'm sorry. What is that?
Yeah, now we are good.
Very good.
Yeah, we are good because one of the guy, just he forgot to captain.
Okay.
And please give the access to remaining people.
Actually, everyone has access. I was.
Oh, it's a public. Okay.
No, it is not public. It is private, but I made it that if you share that particular URL, people can access. Otherwise, in YouTube, you cannot go and search. That's why I sent that I messaged to Satish asking this link to be saved by someone like Kalpana, or anyone can save this link. Whoever wants, if you give this link, they can access it.
I didn't get it, Rajesh.
That link is a protected link. It is not a private link.
If he hit that link, then the guy is going to see the videos.
Exactly. But you can, as a public guy, you cannot search for that link.
Okay. When the guy, if he hit the link at the first time, by the time onwards, he can access the videos.
No, every time he has to go only through the link. If you go to my channel, you cannot see these videos. If you go to YouTube and search for this, no, because you can see this because you have that link. Correct. You're right. You got the link. You access this, right?
Okay. Maybe
so
yeah.
You are
like first time authentication.
Yeah. So you are able to see that. Okay. So you can share that link to whomever you want in this group, and they'll be able to check it out.
Okay. If anyone directly goes to your channel, they can't see these videos.
They can't. I tried like with few of mine. They were not, because it is. I didn't make it public.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes. Okay. So it was a very long, continuous speech. It was a continuous recap.
Okay.
So we'll go into the commonly asked questions. So, what is Java? First thing people usually ask, what is Java? It's just a programming language, like any other language, PHP, .NET. So why? What is special in Java? There's nothing special in Java. A group of people who liked writing syntax in this way, they developed a programming language Java. People who didn't like it, who wanted some other way of doing the things, they invented .NET. Again, people who didn't like both, they invented PHP. So that's how it comes. Every language has one. It's all about human creativity. So every language will have a small flaw which the other persons will bring it up as a new language instead of bring it as a enhancement. So that's how it evolved. But otherwise, it is a programming language which is used for core programming and also for web application. And OOPS is an object-oriented programming language, object-oriented programming structure. So abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. And JVM architecture, there is a complete video on it. JVM architecture and class loaders, how the class structures are loaded. So JVM architecture means you have to speak about the class loader, few key points, class loaders. There is a place to store the classes. So class area and the stack area to store the methods and the results, and native stack to store the native methods. And the main is the execution engine, which reads the byte code into, which reads the byte code and which can execute the byte code. So that's the JVM architecture. So where does the classes get loaded into? Class loader. Where does the result be stored? It is stored in the stack. And what is a class? As I said, the class is a fundamental thing which you have to remember, which you should not even be having a doubt of what is a class. Once again, I will repeat, because this is a fundamental. Without knowing this, how much ever you learn, you will be searching for a place. What is class? If someone asks. So what is a class? You should remember Ganesh Chaturthi. That's all. The Ganesha is made in the idol from using a clay. So we have a mold of Ganesha. We put the clay into that. We get Ganeshas, and we can get thousands of Ganesha idols. So the mold is a class. The actual Ganesha made from the clay is the object. Just link it with the programming language. The mold is a class, which is a template of how a blueprint of how the Ganesha should be produced. And the clay, it is there in the JVM, and object is produced by the JVM. So that is a class, which is a very fundamental thing. And subclass, it is a parent-child relationship. We do using extends keyword. And objects, I said, they are the instance of the class. So whenever you go, I go over it, you will see lots of technical jargons which will make us nervous. Oh my God, what are instances? There will be lots of things. But what my suggestion is, based on my industry years of 15 years, don't get into that fear mode. You just have to link with the real world. That is the only way you have to learn a language. That is the only way you'll never forget a language. Then we have the data types. So data types in Java, primitive and non-primitive data types. Primitive data types are the one which was inbuilt, like int, bool, char, float, so all those things. And later, non-primitive are the objects, or the object data type. So the capital int, capital float, capital char. So one question will be, what is the difference between small int and capital int? Why do we have two ints? So you should tell, like, one is a primitive, the caps is a non-primitive data type. The primitive was built along with the Java, and non-primitive came up later as an object. And yeah, that is called wrapper class. No, wrapper class is something to convert from primitive, non-primitive. So integer.parseInt, float.parseFloat, string.value of, and boolean value of. So all these things are wrapper classes. And then we have the collection frameworks, list, set, and map. So lists are to store multiple values. Set are also multiple values. Map is something to store as a key value. And why do we have list, set, and map? That will be the question. Usually I ask, whenever I interviewed, I used to ask, why do we have list, set, and map when everything is just a collection? Especially maps are also we can agree and take into account because it is a key and value. But why do we have a list and set? The answer will be list. Sure, list can store non-unique value, but set can store only unique values. So to relate in the real world, let us say a box is there. You can store 2 green balls in the same box if it is list. You cannot store those 2 green balls in the same box if it is set. Set will not allow you to store 2 green balls. It will tell that already a green ball is stored. So what is the difference between list, set, and map that you have to understand? I think I did a it is repeated. Maybe I overrode it. Yeah, I think my mistake. Okay, I have something else. I'll go over this now. So what is a web application architecture? I showed like WebINF, classes, and lib. These are the web apps and components of the web apps. We have a web app folder structure. Then we have the WebINF, classes, and folders. Lib. Classes are the where the Java classes will be. Libs are the one. The jars will be, and the static will be there in the resources. And servlets, basics, and lifecycle. So what is a servlet? Simple question anyone can ask. The answer should be very simple, as I said, for objects. What are objects? It's a blueprint. It is a template. So what are servlets? Server-side Java programs. That's all. End of story. What are servlets? Servlets are Java program. Basic Java program which can run in the server side. How do we create a servlet? The answer is very simple. Just extend HTTP servlet, done. You get a servlet. If you want a servlet, you become a child of a servlet. That's all. If you want to be a millionaire, you just become a child of a millionaire. You'll be a millionaire. Same way, you become a child of a super parent servlet, you get the qualities of a servlet, and everyone will consider you as a servlet. Same way, a simple Java class, if you extend servlet, it becomes a servlet. That's all. The answer should be very simple. No need to beat around the bush and just go over some technical things which you are not unsure and which will give others also what really does this guy know or not. So no need to go that complex. Everything are very simple. The reason we go complex is we don't understand it in an easy way. So that's what I keep telling again and again. What are servlets? Server-side Java program. How do we create servlet? Extend a servlet. You get a servlet. Finished. That's all. And servlet lifecycle. Init, service, destroy. ISD. Init, service, destroy. We have international subscriber dialing, ISD calls. So that is what life cycle of a servlet, ISD. Init servlet, init service, destroy. Okay, servlet's request and response. What are the servlet request and response? It is HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. And program flow. How does, this is a tricky question. How does a control goes from page to servlet and back to the page? The answer is simple. You have a page, through action, form action, you call a servlet, you pass the value as a request parameter, you receive in the servlet as request parameter, you pass it to the JDBC, hit the JDBC, get back the result, and then you set in the request attribute, and in JSP receive the request attribute. That's all. While going, it will be request parameter. While coming back, it will be request attribute. Of course, you'll know what I am telling once you finish the video, or once you know what is servlet and how do we access it. And the next is JSPs. So JSPs are the Java server pages. So Java itself does not have a UI. It is a middle layer programming, as like we have in ASPX, which comes CS and C# and ASPX come by default. The Java is having JSP. So so what is the JSP? Java server pages, which is a mix up of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Java. So JSP is mix up of 4: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Java. So how do we communicate to servlet? Using form action. How does JSP contact servlet? Through form action. The other is through AJAX call, XML HTTP request. And these are the two ways, at least for now. So how do we pass values from page to servlet and vice versa? I explained. From page to servlet, we use the parameter, request parameter, using get or post. Both we can do. If it is in get, the parameter will be visible in the address bar. If it is in post, it will be hidden. And how do we get in the servlet? It is request parameter. We pass it to JDBC, and we get back from the JDBC, and we return back as a request or get set attribute. So this is about the servlet. Any questions so far?
I'm good, Rajesh. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll pause here for now. I'll leave it to you. If you want to ask anything else, we can speak about that for next 5 minutes. I'll continue the rest of things tomorrow. I have 2 more days to go over. Anything like I see like few newcomers, and anything you wanted to ask, or you can ask anything. Basically, it's the end of the training, so you just anything you wanted to ask, you can use now, and I can like just guide you. I think Jana has asked almost. He will be clear. He has been asking every single day his doubts. So he should be at least like quite comfortable now with things. So others, if someone has, and like you can ask anything. If you're a fresher,
I have a question from the first video I was watching. The
yes, please.
one.
Yes, please.
So I created the project and I created a class. After that, you showed in the video to configure it to Maven project.
Mhm. Right.
Once I click that, nothing is showing up. Like I don't see the Maven dependency folders or anything like that.
What did you click?
I right-clicked on the project name and then configure, and then convert to Maven project, just like you did in the video.
Do you have a pom.xml? Did you create that?
Yes, yes.
Which version of Eclipse you use? That doesn't matter. You have like convert to Maven option, right? That is there. Then
yeah, it was there.
Then there should
be once I
no
click
issues.
it, nothing shows up.
You can see my screen, right? So I go to new.
Yes.
Yeah, Java project.
Correct.
And like test Java. Next. I don't give anything. Okay, this is a Java project. We have a symbol J. I right click this and configure convert to Maven. Did you get this window?
No, I didn't.
Then can you try out with a different Eclipse? Maybe your Eclipse is having an issue because as soon as you click to that convert to Maven, this is Eclipse feature. You get this option. So we just give here jar and what is the, yeah, we can leave it blank. All these can be, these are artifact ID. We can give it blank and finished. You will get a pom.xml created. If you don't get this window, then there is some issue in the Eclipse, I guess so. Because this is not in our.
Even you didn't get in your video, you didn't get that window either. You just got a message that the build was successful.
What I would have done is I would have created a pom.xml first, and then I would have given like configure convert to Maven.
Yes, that's what you did.
Yeah, if we don't have a pom.xml, then the system will automatically ask, can you do this way and check once?
Okay.
There are actually, I'll do the other way. So I create a new project, test Java 2, and I'll finish. What I'll do, I will copy this pom.xml into this project directory. Now I right click, configure, convert to Maven project. It didn't ask. This is what I did in the class. It won't ask because the pom is there. Pom is a keyword. It won't ask. Now let us assume I place an entry here. I go into the pom.xml here and let me copy from one of the previous project. One for JDBC. So just one entry we need so that the jars will be downloaded. I'll copy. Oh, Hibernate will take long time. All right, I'll do one thing. I'll go to. I will go to this one. Log4j Maven repository. I'll go to log4j Maven. This is the standard website you should always keep. From here you can get everything. So I'll go to this latest version, May 2012. So that's the version. Let me go here and I'll copy this content. I'll go to the, I should give a dependencies outside of plugin. Dependencies, I'll paste this. Okay, what is the, syntax is, what's it? Pom.xml dependency tag. So dependencies, that's what I gave. Dependencies. Dependencies, dependency. That's correct only.
Is it okay if you can end this session and then I can share you my screen?
Yes, please. But once again, as soon as I did, once again, I'll try to save this. Am I getting here the dependency? I just want to download. Okay, you can. Yeah, I've given you access. You can share your screen.
Okay. Are you still recording the session?
You want me to stop recording?
It's up to you. I'm sure if it's ended, like